I got a new Nendo. It's Nico from Witch Watch. Nico! Hello everybody, it's Austin from Yellow Beanie Manga, and welcome to the first episode of Wrap Up, a show where I give you my opinions on a bunch of manga that I got at a haul or on a manga shopping vlog. My last haul, which is the actual first haul that I've posted to this channel, had a small bunch of titles that I want to talk about and a few that I don't, so I'm going to lightning round those ones that I really don't want to go into before I talk about the ones that I do. So to kick us off, we have Attack on Titan Last Girls Volume 2, and it was good. I liked it a lot. I expected to. I had mentioned in the vlog that I had already read the light novel and I didn't like Annie's story as much as Mika says, but for the sake of completionism I might pick up Volume 1 anyway. Then we have the first volume of Super Psychic Policeman Chojo, which I didn't think was very interesting. The humor didn't connect with me, so I think I'm gonna have to pass on the rest of the series. And then we had Kingdom Volume 3, which to be honest I have not read yet. I have not even read Volume 2 yet, so I think I'm gonna just collect up as much as I can and then binge it. And now we can move on to the three that I actually found worth talking about, and it just so happens that those are the three manga that I used on the last haul video's thumbnail. So let's kick off with the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the good, of course, would be Kamudo, which is by the artist team Akira Himakawa, the artists behind The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Before humans claimed their place in history, the skybound paradise of Hinoaruchi was ruled by demi-beings under the wrath of Ryujinkyo's demi-dragons. Now, as prophecy foretells a turbulent new age, will the birth of Kamuna, the first human child, bring disaster or salvation? The first and most pressing thing to say about the series is that it has absolutely gorgeous art, and it kind of uses the color black rather sparingly. And that sort of allows the flowy, lush line work to speak for itself, and I think it works. But then we get to the story, and I won't lie, like the first 30 pages of this manga just sort of put me to sleep. It's the usual, like, super high fantasy fare, you know, it's this grand open world with all these different categories of people, and they come together like once a year for this ceremony. And what's this? A child of prophecy is born? To possibly usher in a new age of ill fortune or prosperousness? What will it be? And yada yada. I mean, stories like that have existed ad infinitum. I've read quite a few. It's nothing new. But is that to say it's bad? Not at all. Once Kamuna is born, and yeah, the character's name is Kamuna, not Kamudo. I can't pretend it gets any more original, but I do think it gets a bit more engaging. As we sort of watch him grow up and see his struggles in being a human being in a world full of beasts, you do feel for the guy and you want to know where his story goes next. I think if you like traditional fantasy, and especially if you like animal people, then you should probably give this manga a shot. As for me, it was decent. I can't guarantee I'm going to read anymore, but I don't regret reading it, and I'm not in a hurry to get rid of it. And that brings us to the bad. A Galaxy Next Door, a romance title by Gigo Amagakure. And not gonna lie, I picked this up because I have no self-control when it comes to blondes with bangs. But also because the premise had to do with making manga, and I always like manga that's about manga. Sadly though, this was just kind of flat. There were some pages near the beginning that showed the protagonist's struggle in making manga, and when there are elements like that in a story, I tend to really appreciate the medium all over again. Once Shiori is introduced and the story shifts focus onto the romance, none of it feels very well thought out or earned. Both characters are just kind of boring and one note, and I didn't feel like any of them had very distinct traits or things to latch onto or motivations that were interesting to me as a reader. And it does move along faster than a lot of romance manga, which I want to give it credit for, but it's actually to the story's detriment because by the end of the first volume, the two main characters get even further than most love interests get in entire series of manga, but they really just have nothing to show for it. I praised the cover's artwork in my vlog video, and I stand by that. Shiori really does look gorgeous here, with that lovely gradient in her hair and a bunch of very soft pastel tones. But the rest of the manga's art, while good, does feel really sparse in its density, and kind of leaves a lot to be desired. So, A Galaxy Next Door is only 6 volumes long, but even at that, I really just don't have any interest in reading anymore. I wouldn't really call it bad, but of the 3 I'm talking about here, it's definitely the weakest, so sorry. But oh boy, now we get to talk about the ugly, and the most noteworthy of the 3 here, which is Drip Drip by Paru Itagaki. Whenever Mako Higari comes into contact with something she perceives as dirty, she gets a massive nosebleed. How can she find a loving partner and commit to a meaningful, intimate relationship when just touching another person makes her bleed out? Yeah, An absurd premise, but one that is already quite transparently about trauma. And, I don't know how I'm supposed to talk much more about it on YouTube. The situations Mako finds herself in are just too racy to say out loud, but I guess I can try. Like, she sort of and then this and then with this other guy, they get together and then blood just goes everywhere and it's crazy. It's a wild ride. And that's like the story. She can't handle dirty things like money and unclean clothes. She can't do intimate things with anybody, and if she tries any of that, then there will just be a mountain of blood that just gushes through her nose. But as you read the story and you see where this trauma comes from, and then we remember in like Japanese pop culture, a bloody nose is sort of shorthand for arousal, then the story takes kind of a Freudian lilt, which in that regard is like to each their own. I mean, the whole thing is to each their own. It is comedic though, like the story deals with unyielding guilt, obsessive disorders, family trauma, yada yada. But some of it is just so ridiculous that you can't help but laugh, and that had to have been Itagaki's intention. Such as this chapter here where Mako demolishes a building to trap her and some random guy inside so the two can hook up, but then basically explodes it a second time with a nosebleed the moment they try. Like, how does she come up with this stuff? Itagaki is an odd duck. Or chicken. Her art style is incredibly odd too. Her character angles and proportions are highly stylized with wide mouths and cartoonish expressions not frequently found in other manga. Her most well-known work, Beastars, is all animal characters, and I feel like her style works best with that. With people, she's got this sort of uncanny caricature that's, I mean, I wouldn't call it unpleasant, but it's just very strange. It's just a strange art style, and it's not everybody's cup of tea. And fittingly, this manga itself is not going to be everybody's cup of tea if you couldn't already tell. It's unabashed, gross, hypersexual, extremely off-color, and with a wicked twist 2/3 in that just makes you feel bad. So Mako's arc does reach a definite conclusion, but it takes a whole book of poor choices to get there. And if that kind of strangeness sounds appealing to you, then I say go for it. But if there's even one thing over the course of me talking about this manga that I've described that makes you feel not right, I say just don't even touch it. I will give it the praise that I do think it deserves in that it does keep you hooked. I would bet that I read this in like probably under 12 minutes just because I was so morbidly curious. And I was definitely entertained. Well, there you go. I hope you enjoyed the video. I look forward to doing a lot more wrap-up videos like this where I talk about more than one title. Manga Mondays are fun, but they're kind of hard to stretch. You end up having to try to avoid spoilers and not repeat yourself. So yeah, maybe I'll just try more stuff like this. So on this end screen here, I'm going to have a link to both of my channels and a video the almighty algorithm thinks you should watch right here. And also, this is my Instagram, and I post a lot of things involving manga and art and music and writing and everything else that I like, so I would really appreciate it if you could give it a follow, as I've been trying to be more active in sharing my creations recently. But that's all I really have to say. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Austin from Yellow Beanie Manga, and I hope you have a good day. Signing off.